Okay, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you once more for giving me this opportunity. My names are very long, but just call me Mary or Magdaline. No. So we have been talking about Africa today. So all the things that have been happening in Africa, Sudan, I'm going to give a presentation about the Sudan conflict, consequences, and challenges to recent development. So as a short and brief background, Sudan is located in the northeast of Africa. And prior to the war, it was the largest part of Africa, and it is being bordered by 6 countries. And also it gained its independence after a decade or many decades of civil war. So Sudan was divided into 2 countries after the 2011 referendum. So about 99% of the Sudanese voted for independence. And this led to the end of the decades of civil war and conflict between the 2 countries. So now it ended with Sudan and South Sudan. So South Sudan is located in the north with Khartoum as its capital. No, Sudan is located in the north with Khartoum as its capital, and South Sudan in the south with Juba as its capital. And South Sudan became independent in July 9, 2011, after the civil war. So currently, the leaders of Sudan and South Sudan, first of all, we have the Sudanese Armed Forces, which is led by General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, versus Rapid Support Forces, led by Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo. He is generally known as the Hemedti. South Sudan, Salva Kiir Mayardit remains the president until current, and the political tensions persist right until now with the Vice President Riek Machar. So now we are going to look at what led to the division of Sudan. There are a lot of factors that has led to the division of Sudan. And like we are talking about the imperialism going on which is being done by the West on the African continent, Sudan is not different from what is happening in other African countries. So some of these reasons, or what led to this division of Sudan, the first, we have ethnic and religious differences. Like we have heard in other presentations, most African countries have so many languages. For example, one country can have 200 languages. And also we have religious differences. So in Sudan, the north is mainly the Arab Muslims, while the south consists of ethnic groups practicing Christianity or traditional beliefs. So the differences led to their division. We also have colonial legacy of separate governance. The British rule treated the North and South separately. As we know, Sudan was colonized by the British. Actually, it was colonized by British and Egypt condominion, but we consider British because the influence on Britain is more than that of Egypt. So this caused uneven development because there is partiality in ruling between the Sudan and the South Sudan. So this sowed division into the people, and there was this division that led to the separation of the country. The next factor we are going to look at are civil wars. So they had 2 long civil wars which led to the death of millions and displaced of so many. So this conflict hardened divisions and increased calls for independence. We also have the Comprehensive Peace Agreement of 2005. So this agreement ended the Second World War and led into a referendum that led to the separation of the two countries and the independence of South Sudan. Also, we have economic inequalities. Economic funds are not shared equally in the two parts, so this is another factor that led to division. So the South oil world was controlled by the North, leading to uneven distribution of resources and underdevelopment in the South. Political marginalization. The South Sudanese had little say in the national governance. That led to exclusion, fostering anger and resistance against the central government. So the key players in the division, who are those responsible? So we have Sudan's People Liberation Movement. So the main rebel group in the south, led by John Garang and later by Salva Kiir. They fought for autonomy and eventually that led to their independence. So the Sudanese government also played a part. This government, which was led by Omar al-Bashir, was accused of marginalization in the south and also fueling through authoritarian rule and religious impositions. We continue. Intergovernmental authority and development. There was a regional bloc that played a very crucial part in mediating role in the peace process, especially during the Comprehensive Peace Agreement. We also have international community, such as the US, UK, and Norway. So these countries supported peace talks, humanitarian aid, and helped pressure both sides towards the 2005 peace deal and the 2011 referendum. So, what were the consequences of all this? This division did not help Sudan in any way, so there were some consequences. So these consequences was civil war in the South Sudan. So after the independence, South Sudan fell into internal conflict in 2013 due to political wars, struggles, causing mass displacement, and so many people lost their lives. We also have economic strain. So Sudan lost about 75% of its oil resources to South Sudan, while the South Sudan depends on Sudan's pipeline for oil exports, leading to tension and instability. So consequences as a result of border control. So we have regions like Abyei, which remain contested. So this led to occasional clashes that have been unresolved and territorial conflicts between the two countries. Humanitarian crisis. Both nations have suffered from food insecurity, displacement, underdevelopment, with South Sudan facing more famine and collapse of their public services. So we have recent developments to these challenges. So what have they done? So the Sudan's 2023 conflict between the SAF and the RSF had deepened instability. It has caused more, like it has aggravated the instability. And in South Sudan, political stagnation, delayed elections, and corruption hinders peace. Women and children continue to be most affected by this conflict and these displacements. So what's the way forward? The way forward, after all this, what should they do? First, dialogue and reconciliation in South Sudan. They have to be dialogue. For peace to reign between the two countries, there's supposed to be dialogue. There's also supposed to be economic cooperation between both nations, like we heard in the previous slides, that there is marginalization or uneven distribution of economic resources. We have strong international support that is needed for peace to reign, grassroots peace building, leadership accountability, and transitional justice. So these are some of the points that should be done in order to create peace and bring the country together. So what are the new perspectives? We have regional actors like Ethiopia and Egypt influence Sudanese politics. The African Union has called for a ceasefire in Sudan's civil conflict. Stabilization depends on regional unity and respect for self-determination. So in order to conclude this, the Sudanese division symbolizes both the power of self-determination and the fragility of peace. Sustainable solutions require visionary leadership, international support, and community resilience to secure a peaceful and prosperous future. Like we have heard in most of the presentation, and like our presenter from Cameroon said, now Traoré is at the top trying to bring Africa together. So there should be, for sustainability to reign, there should be vision in leadership. If all these, our leaders, come together with one mind, Africa is going to be best, and peace is going to reign in each and every of the individual African countries. So there should be international support and community resilience to secure peace and prosperous future. Thank you so much for listening.